A wildfire threat not seen in years. Friday could get dangerous and fast.
Tonight, I'm breaking down why tomorrow will be a very active day.
Plus, lessons from December 30th.
It's a bit frantic, but if you have time to think it through, it's worthwhile.
As more homes face the threat of fire, a Marshall Fire survivor shares what she learned after having to leave her home on such short notice.
To build or not to build?
It'd be totally different, but it'll be fun.
With the Broncos for sale, we're going 360 in depth, asking, is it also time for a new stadium?
If there's nothing wrong with it, why change it right now?
I think it would be great for the neighborhood.
We begin tonight with a dangerous combination of weather conditions.
Only one other time since 2010 has the risk for wildfires been this dire here in the metro. So with fire danger becoming more the norm than the exception tonight, we're trying to help you stay safe.
So let's go to tonight's team coverage as we all prepare for this threat. Rob Harris is speaking with someone who knows what it means to leave home and never return.
First, meteorologist Stacey Donaldson breaking down why tomorrow's risk is so high. Stacey?
Hey there. Well, we kind of have the perfect storm tomorrow. The jet stream right over Colorado, whipping up those winds. A cold front coming our direction, but before it gets here, it's going to be very dry, windy, and hot. So as we have all of these elements coming together, we have critical and extreme fire danger here across eastern Colorado, including the Denver metro. So a red flag warning in effect tomorrow for high winds. It's still pretty gusty out there now, but we're going to double these winds going into tomorrow. Winds about 65 miles an hour for the afternoon. They're going to be coming up from the south across the area. Right now we have 37-mile-an-hour winds at DIA. Our humidity levels will also drop dramatically tomorrow, between 5 and 10% here for our area. And right now we do have higher humidity levels across the eastern plains. So that's one big change that'll be happening. And also our temperatures. They'll be in the 80s and 90s tomorrow, when normally we should only be in the low 60s for our afternoon highs. So high fire danger here across the eastern plains for tomorrow, along with a high wind warning for almost the entire eastern half of the state for winds up to 65 miles an hour. And then some big changes after that. We'll talk about those changes coming up for the weekend in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Stacey. And fire departments tell Denver 7 they are ready to respond if fires should flare up. The Boulder Fire Department says they're bringing in extra staff over the next few days. Of course, that's a luxury many volunteer departments just don't have. With no county or city services in the area, crews in the Sugarloaf Fire Protection District are on their feet year-round.
We have to go find water and bring it to the truck that is fighting a fire. We've had several big fires in our district that have burned homes, so we hope that will never happen again.
Firefighters are asking you, please help them out over the next few days. Do not start any unnecessary fires.
In fact, Boulder, Jefferson, and Douglas counties already have stage 1 fire restrictions in place, and that means there can be no open burning of any kind. Arapahoe and Adams counties, they have stage 2 fire restrictions in place, and those prohibit campfires and barbecues. And if you smoke, that is only allowed inside an enclosed space without vegetation. So with more homes facing the threat of fires, it is more vital than ever to be ready to evacuate on a moment's notice.
Denver 7's Rob Harris spoke with victims of the Marshall Fire about the lessons they're hard learned for them.
Yeah, very powerful, very hard to listen to. We do want to tell you, we're not trying to make you overly fearful tonight, but we do want to be ready should you have to be. With extreme fire danger conditions tomorrow, we sat down with a survivor of the Marshall Fire, and here's what she wishes someone had told her before she had to evacuate on a moment's notice.
I'm Tanya Summeru. I'm a Marshall Fire survivor. I lost my home in Louisville, Colorado. Fires do crazy, erratic things. Look outside, and if it looks like something is on fire and debris is blowing towards your home, there's a good chance the fire's coming towards you, and it's time to start evacuating. So always use your common sense. Don't wait for someone to tell you it's time to go. I was feeling complete panic and disbelief. I was trying to warn my neighbors. I was trying to look around and make sure everyone was escaping, and I was trying to take things from the house at the same time. The thing I wish I did is, I've heard the advice that you should go around and videotape everything in your house. And when you go to make your insurance claim, it actually is pretty hard to remember all the things that you had in your house. So it would be pretty easy to go through with your phone and video all your tools in the garage and the little things in the cabinets that you forget. It'll help you remember what's there. When when you're evacuating your house from a fire, you are going to have food and water and things like that. You don't need to worry about that, actually. If you want to buy clothes again, you can buy clothes again. You know, you want to grab a few things that are important mementos, maybe the medications you need, any medical devices that are hard to replace, especially if they're on back order. I'm so glad when I evacuated my house that I grabbed some of my children's stuffies and their baby blankets. When we were in the hotel and we evacuated, they slept with them. They carry them around all the time now. Like, the fact that we saved them from the house makes them even more important to the kids than they were before. We'll learn to live with this new reality. We'll be okay, I think, eventually. So that's my story.
Her story and so many others who lived through the Marshall Fire. Now, what Tanya Samaru told me today and what first responders have told me on scenes of so many fires is that making a plan beforehand is key, and then practicing it with your family, rather. That way it's already ingrained in your mind for when adrenaline takes over in that moment. Now, as you make your plan, here are 5 P's to remember from ready.gov. People and pets, and the essentials they need, like carriers, travel, food, water bowls, at least a week's supply of your prescriptions, important papers like your ID, insurance policies, and bank records, personal needs like your phone, make sure it's charged, and bring some clothing to protect you from the elements. And as you heard Samaru say, the priceless items that can't be replaced. Shannon.
Oh, Rob, that was powerful. Thank you very much for that, and very helpful. And you can stay up to date on any fires, any evacuations in our area with the Denver 7 Plus app. You can download it for free right now.
As we look ahead to the upcoming Broncos season, there are so many reasons for Broncos fans to be optimistic.
A new coach, a new quarterback, and soon a new owner.
With the Broncos changing hands for the first time in decades, it raises the question, is it time for a new stadium?
Well, tonight, Denver 7's Russell Haythorne takes us 360, in depth on the pros and cons on where Broncos country stands.
When Broncos president Joe Ellis said this,
it will be the number one decision the new owner will have to make, which is how are we going to proceed long term when it comes to the stadium.
It got Broncos country fired up. Really fired up. Some fans embracing it, others hating it. Either way, it brings up the question, with the Broncos sale and some amazing offseason acquisitions, is a new stadium next? We're going 360, starting with those who follow the team closely.
I have my 2 guys. My name is Zach By. I'm one half of the show Stokely and Zach on Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan.
Zach says a new stadium comes with many perks, including the possibility of that retractable roof and Denver hosting its first ever Super Bowl.
I think it's incredibly reasonable to believe that if the new Broncos owner wants to build a new stadium, not long after it's built, the Broncos would have a Super Bowl.
The league awards you with the Super Bowl. That's part of the deal.
That's economics and marketing expert Darren Dubersmith,
senior lecturer, Metropolitan State University of Denver.
The price tag of building a new stadium is estimated at $2 billion, and Darren says that's conservative.
The estimates never come in, and you've got all of these environmental inputs with the inflation and the supply chain issues with raw materials.
While many believe a remodel is certainly in order at Empower Field, a new stadium is another story.
It's just not necessary.
Many fans agree.
I'm looking at it right now, and it's a beautiful structure, a beautiful place. My name is Lucia. I'm a Broncos fan.
Lucia's concern, who's footing the bill?
If it's the ownership's money, they can do whatever they want, right? But if it has to come from taxpayers, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation that we need to have, because it's where is that money going to come from, you know?
I would question the need for a new stadium.
That's planning expert and professor at the University of Denver, Andrew Getz, who works on these issues and says from a taxpayer perspective, there are much bigger priorities.
Right now, we're facing an incredible affordability crisis in terms of housing. There are things that we could do to improve that. There are things we could do to improve our public transit system. The Denver public school system is at a crisis point.
But a new stadium could also generate new revenue.
Hi, my name is Daniela Robles, and I am the manager at Cilantro Denver, located on 17th and Federal. Specialty drinks like the Cantarito, the Sirena, tacos, And if you haven't had a molcajete, you have to come in and try that.
Cilantro opened its stores across the street from Mile High 3 years ago, survived the pandemic, and would likely expand if a new stadium were built.
It'd be like a dream for us as a business. I think it would be great for the neighborhood. I can see a pretty big impact for our business here at Cilantro. We've even thought about doing a rooftop.
A new stadium might also spur condo, retail, and restaurant development around the stadium, something the city has talked about but never capitalized on.
You see some of these they're almost like villages.
A 91-acre campus
built around these stadiums. It's a sprawling layout, not just to watch football and stand in a parking lot and tailgate. It's just more than that in 2022.
Fans like Jesse Leyva favor that.
New changes, new looks, new everything modern. I always love that.
There is certainly a risk in some markets of not funding stadium projects with taxpayer money.
The threat in the marketplace is that if your facility runs down, you run the risk of losing your team.
The Buffalo Bills are a good example, with the threat of moving to Toronto.
Buffalo would ultimately be Canada's first NFL team. I think if you don't build a facility in a place like Buffalo, then you're going to lose your team.
That threat spans all major sports.
You want to have this debate?
Just last week, the Cincinnati Reds owner landing a few jabs at his city and fans.
What would you do with this team to have it be more profitable, make more money, compete more in the current economic system that this game exists? It would be to pick it up and move it somewhere else. Yeah. And so be careful what you ask for.
He then doubled down when fans got mad.
Are you going to abandon being a Reds fan? Are you going to abandon following this team? We haven't abandoned it.
I don't think Denver is that place. Denver's an economically vibrant place. We've added 1 million people in the last 10 or 15 years.
Existing facilities, especially if they're in a really good location, have a lot of value to them.
Could the new owner stomp his feet and say, oh really, I'll take the team elsewhere? And you think that it could never happen, especially in a place like Denver where the Broncos have been such a pillar or a quote-unquote blue blood organization that has won Super Bowls and had real success. To think that it is impossible is probably a little bit naive.
And finally, there's an off chance a new stadium could be built somewhere other than downtown, DIA for example, but most experts agree that's a long shot.
You're going to create a lot of transportation problems.
But I think it would be easier to build the stadium in the parking lot, which has happened dozens of times across the country.
We're really, really lucky to be right across the street.
Russell Haythorne, Denver 7.
Oh boy, so what do you think? Is it time to replace Empower Field at Mile High? You can join the conversation right now on the Denver 7 Facebook page, or you can always email us 360@thedenverchannel.com. Meanwhile, the Broncos still have repairs they need to make to their current stadium. In March, a fire at Empower Field damaged hundreds of seats and 14 suites. And today we asked the stadium district for an update on repairs. They did not get back to us. Last month, CEO Joe Ellis did warn that getting repairs done before the season could be a challenge.
He is one of the best safeties in football, but Justin Simmons is still looking for his first postseason trip.
Pro Bowls and All Pros, those things will come, but we just got to win games.
Tonight, we're sitting down with the Broncos player as he heads into year 7 in Denver.
And down 2 games, the Nuggets look to claw back against the Warriors at Ball Arena.
It's a weather action day. Extreme high fire danger here across the Front Range and the Eastern Plains over the next 24 hours. I'll give you all the details on what you need to know.